Welcome everybody again. I hope you can hear us now. Welcome to our second webinar. We hope to have 6 or 7 of these in the coming year and share with you various aspects of our university. Today we have with us Dr. Yaron Daniely to tell us a bit about Yissum, the university's tech transfer company. Some technicalities. Our webinar today will be around 45 minutes. You are now on mute. We're now on mute, but we will provide a short Daniely will provide a short presentation, and then you will have the time for question and answers. You can ask questions by raising your hand, and we will unmute you, or you can write on the chat, which you should see on the side of your screen. So Yaron, please, again, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay, hopefully everyone can hear me now. So thank you again for the opportunity to speak and share with you a little bit today about Hebrew University, and particularly Yissum, its technology transfer company. I want to start by showing you how important technology transfer is to Israel and to the startup nation. In the 2018 Global Competitive Report that surveys close to 200 economies from around the world, Israel continued to do very well, ranking first in the world in R&D expenditures as percent of GDP, in growth of innovative companies, high ranking in venture capital availability. One of the most dramatic jumps in Israel's performance in this report has been on the ranking of academia-industry collaboration. In 2018, Israel as a whole was ranked 3rd in the world, right after the United States and Switzerland, for the breadth and the depth of academia-industry collaboration. Just to give you a sense, only 10 years ago, only a decade ago in 2008, Israel was ranked 33rd in the world in this respect. So this has been a major area in which the country as a whole and the academic institution in Israel have focused their efforts in order to strengthen the academia-industry ties. We here at Hebrew U believe we have a very strong play a very important role in this improvement and in bringing academia and industry together. For those of you who may not be very familiar with Hebrew University, we are the #1 university in Israel, both because we were the #1. We are the first university ever created in Israel, in fact, 30 years before the State of Israel in 1918. But we continue to be ranked the #1 university in Israel in every global ranking that you can think of. The university has close to 23,000 students, about half of which are graduate students. So it's the largest research university in Israel, with 1,000 researchers. About half of them are in the applied sciences. 6 campuses, 3 in Jerusalem and 3 outside of Jerusalem. 14 different schools in these 6 campuses with 7 faculties, including Israel's only faculty of agriculture, food, and environment, Israel's only veterinary medicine, and other institutions within Hebrew University that continue to lead research and technology in Israel in their disciplines. The strength of the leadership position at Hebrew U comes partly from its leadership and its foresight in understanding that science and innovation can no longer be practiced in the same way that it's been done for a decade or so, a century or so. In fact, most exciting innovation today comes from the coming together of different scientists from different disciplines, working under a single roof, collaborating under a central theme. Under this, the university has created about 100 different research centers that are focused on particular themes, some of which are on the slide in front of you, like the Safra Center for Brain Sciences, the Fraunhofer Cybersecurity Center, the 3D and Functional Printing Center, the Grass Center for Bioengineering, and more, like the multidisciplinary cannabinoid research center. We have close to 100 of these centers bringing together scientists from very different disciplines, mathematicians next to clinicians, next to physicists, next to linguists, next to computer science and engineers, all working on similar problems or similar themes. This has been the engine for really groundbreaking innovation at Hebrew U for a few decades, and us at Yissum, we see these engines continue to deliver some of the most transformative technologies that we see every day at Hebrew U. And this is the reason why in global innovation rankings, not only have we been ranked top university in Israel and one of the top universities in the world, but also in innovation rankings, we continue to perform very well in multiple innovation, venture-backed, capital raising rankings, etc. Now, our role at Yissum has been quintessential in actually delivering these outcomes. We were founded as a for-profit private company in 1964, in fact, as the first technology transfer organization to be established anywhere in the world. The university, even in 1964, already had the foresight to create a separate business entity functioning with business mentality and business professionals, with the sole mission of transferring information, know-how, and intellectual property from the university out to industry and the community. Our agreement with Hebrew University is that every piece of intellectual property is actually owned by Yissum. So any innovation that's brought about by a faculty member, a graduate student, an administration member is brought to our attention, and we assume ownership over that intellectual property. What that translates into is 55 years of doing tech transfer, more than any other tech transfer organization created by a university in the world, more than 10,000 approved registered patents worldwide, one of the largest patent estates of any university in the world, close to 1,000 licensing transactions with entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, and large corporations, more than 180 spin-off companies, as you'll see in a second, in pretty much any discipline that you can think of, and more than 2,000 close research collaborations with major industry players that have created the intimate synergy between industry and academia that only exists at Hebrew U. Let me segue for a second and explain to you what that really means. A lot of universities talk about synergy with industry. They talk about the need to collaborate with industry, but in fact, the Hebrew University is the only university in Israel and one of the only universities in the world that I know that has industry buildings, actual companies, startups, and very large multinational corporations locating R&D facilities on campus, hiring our students, consulting with our faculty members, using the research infrastructure at the university, and actually co-creating value, co-creating innovation in a very intimate and collaborative way, which brings about some of the most exciting commercialization stories that we've seen in the last 55 years here in Israel. And this is a very unique setting for any university, and of course, in particular, a university like Hebrew University. Specifically speaking, in 2018, under the new university leadership as well as Yissum leadership, we have had a remarkable year executing 100 licenses and options to industry, executing 128 new sponsored research agreements and services with industry, filing 156 new patents in just 1 year, and creating 10 new spin-off companies. These represent dramatic increases over the course of the last few years, really symbolizing a shift in how we do business and how we have been able to lower barriers to kind of effective industry engagement. And I will show you 2 or 3 of these mechanisms that have really created and brought about that change in just a few moments. Important, if you'd like to download the 2018 annual report for Yissum, go to our website and you can download our annual report with a lot more data on some of our unique accomplishments in 2018. But all of that is accomplished through a very simple yet kind of unique mission statement, and that is that Yissum does not consider itself a classic TTO. It does not consider itself a protector of university intellectual property. Yissum, in fact, believes that the true value of university intellectual property, of university know-how and impact can only be unleashed through its transfer to outside the walls of academia, to industry and to community. Yissum and Hebrew University strongly embrace the third mission of universities, which is we do not live on islands. We do not live in ivory towers. We are in fact surrounded by a community that could benefit from what we manufacture, what we conceive, what we invent every day. And in fact, our mission is to make all that information, all that know-how, all those innovations as accessible to the world, to industry as possible. Side by side to this, as you see from this bi-directional bridge, we spend about 80 to 90% of our time talking to industry, showcasing our capabilities, showcasing our innovations, and we hear from industry what they like and what they dislike, what they need and what they have no need for. And our mission, just as much as transferring information out of the university, is listen and absorb those needs, those challenges of industry and community, and relay them back as effectively and as clearly as possible to the academic community in Hebrew U, essentially creating new innovations, new solutions, new technologies and services that serve to specifically address the industry needs of tomorrow, of 5 years from now and 10 years from now. It is critically important for us to not only push technology out, but to actually help the academic community reciprocate and understand the needs of community and essentially be involved in creating new innovations that serve those needs. And I'll give you an example in a second of a very effective way that we've been doing this over the last year and a half or 2 years. Just a word about research collaborations. As I mentioned, more than 2,000 multi-annual, very strong research collaborations with thousands of companies. This is just a small snapshot of some of these companies. We really work on trying to build long-term, strong, synergistic partnerships with large and small companies. And our faculty members actually love the type of engagement that the bringing together of industry and academia can bring. We have created, as I mentioned, more than 180 spin-off companies since our formation. These represent all disciplines, from education technologies like Ex Libris to protein, natural protein sources in food tech like Chickpea, to Hill Applied Medical, which is a medical device company, to QLight, which is a display, a quantum material company, to BriefCam, which is a video surveillance company, you name them. We identify strong technological platforms and we provide them with a necessary resource to grow and become companies that are sustainable and that create good businesses and impact global economies and people around the world. We've had our share of successes. Some of you are familiar with our blockbuster successes. Going right to left, because this is how we do it in Hebrew. Just a couple of years ago, Mobileye, a company that was founded by a Hebrew University professor here at the Hebrew University, Professor Amnon Shashua, a full-time computer science faculty member at Hebrew U. Mobileye was founded about 20 years ago and was sold to Intel for $15.3 billion just about 2 years ago. Moving further left, we've had two incredibly successful blockbuster drugs. Exelon, which was developed by Professor Marta Weinstock-Rosine. This is an Alzheimer or pre-dementia drug that was marketed by Novartis. And Doxil, a liposomal formulation of doxorubicin, a chemotherapy drug that was developed by Professor Bernholtz from the Faculty of Medicine, which was marketed by Schering-Plough and Johnson & Johnson. And some of you may not have heard this, but in fact, one of our original blockbusters has been the variety of cherry tomatoes that is now sold all over the world. Actually, more than 90% of cherry tomatoes sold around the world is from a variety that was cultivated, bred, and created by professors at our Faculty of Agriculture and Food. The cherry tomato has been one of the most successful and abundant commercial products of Hebrew University. Now, beyond those 4 blockbuster products, it's important for me to mention we've had multiple products, more than 100 different products arriving the market. And I'm sorry, I see that this slide is not full. There's some errors here, but we have a very broad range of, oh, this is missing information. So sorry, we have a broad range of expertise, starting from the life sciences, healthcare, agriculture, and food, moving to chemistry, physics, materials, clean tech, and environment. As I mentioned, we are the only faculty of agriculture and food in Israel. We are also the only veterinary school in Israel, and therefore we have many of these technologies in these areas. We have technologies in optoelectronics and computer science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, cybersecurity, of course, social sciences, humanities, education technologies, you name them. I encourage you to go to our website at Yissum and view the incredible richness and diversity of our intellectual property portfolio. Before I conclude, I wanted to really highlight a few examples for some of the unique ways in which Yissum as a technology transfer company goes beyond the classical models of technology transfer and in fact participates in value creation and co-creation both at the university level as well as with our industry partners. So I'm going to mention a few of these models: HUJI, our involvement in HUJI Innovate, our seed venture funds, the EDGES program, and our newest program, our Partners in Innovation program. HUJI Innovate is Hebrew University's umbrella organization for entrepreneurship and innovation at the university. It's an organization that operates courses, accelerators, incubators, experiential programs, meetups for Hebrew University students, faculty, and alumni. We have been founders and funders of HUJI Innovate, participating as mentors, as teachers, and also as partners to multiple activities that they house, including accelerators such as the HUJI Accelerator, the Faculty of Agriculture, the SPARK program, which is a Stanford program specialized in personalized medicine at the Faculty of Medicine, mentoring projects through a year, trying to develop business propositions for medical technologies. The Biodesign program, which is a program to create new medical technology or medical device startups geared at medical students, business students, law students, and engineering students, and also an incubator that we share, that we partner with Motorola, Our Crowd, and Reliance, an Indian conglomerate focused on IoT, AI, and deep learning. And these are just some examples of some of the early stage innovations in which we participate as mentors and as business partners. We have also created over the years 3 separate seed venture funds, which are funded by strategic and financial investors focused on the creation of new exciting startups in particular areas only coming from Hebrew University. So Integra is our life science fund. It has 13 companies already seeded in its portfolio. Its major financial investors are both financial pension funds, global pension funds, as well as Israeli funds, as well as some pharmaceutical and biotech investors. A few years ago, we've also seeded Agri-Innovation, a fund focused on agri-tech and food tech that has 9 projects currently in its portfolio, with multiple partners, financial partners again, and strategic partners. And just a few months ago, we've announced the creation of the 3rd seed fund run by Yissum, the Raka Nanotech Fund. This is a fund focused on nanotechnology and smart materials. Again, the LPs in this fund are venture funds from around the world, strategic investors, as well as very strong global players in the materials and nanotechnology space. Just last week in the Board of Governors of the university also announced the creation of the Ramon Impact Fund. This is a philanthropic fund that will be managed by Yissum, making small seed convertible loan investments in student and faculty startups that have impact associations on social, health, or environmental well-being of others. So we are very intimately involved in managing these seed funds to create the most promising startups of Hebrew University. The third mechanism is a mechanism directed in industry particular. We call it the EDGES Corporate Partnership Program. This is a perfect example for our way of trying to create that bi-directional bridge between academia and industry. This program is directed towards enterprises that can define a unique challenge, a unique need, a unique technological hurdle that they're facing, and would like to essentially partner with the university to create a solution or multiple solutions that specifically address that problem with essentially no risk on the enterprise's behalf. And let me walk you through very briefly on how this works. Again, this program serves corporate initiatives that are focused on a specific theme, a specific challenge. I'll tell you how it all started. It started when I started Yissum 2 years ago, when a friend of mine, a banker at JP Morgan, came to me and asked, do we have any technologies in the area of fintech? And in fact, back 2 years ago, we had very little in the area of fintech. And so I sat with him together and we drafted an open call on the area of fintech, essentially defining what are one or two major issues that the fintech industry as a whole is facing and would like the academic field to try and create or process new solutions or services for. So we worked with our partner to create this RFP that is directly defined by the need of the industry or that particular partner. That RFP normally also defines not only the need, but also the framework for that collaboration. So normally a certain budget that the industry partner is willing to spend, a reasonable budget would be in the order of $100,000, but maybe it's smaller or larger, depending on the challenge, and also a framework of time, maybe 6 months, maybe 12 months, where they are willing to support the creation of a new solution. We then take that RFP, we distribute it very broadly. And in fact, one of the interesting things about these RFPs is that the most exciting solutions will come from the most unusual and unexpected places. And it's very important not to essentially assume that you know which faculty member or which discipline or faculty will have the right solution or the right capability for you. We like to go very broad, kind of teasing almost 1,000 faculty members across Hebrew University to come up with innovative solutions to that particular need within a given budget in a given time frame. We then sit with a corporate partner and we show them all the proposals that we've seen to date, and we just collect feedback. And that's where the corporate commitment ends. They are not required to fund anything. They're only required to help us draft the RFP and then provide feedback on the quality of the solutions. Because by the way, if they don't like what they see, but there are good solutions there, I would likely go to other industry members and seek funding or support from them. I can tell you, however, that in the last year and a half which we've run this program, we've now done 13 different proposals, and in every time, the corporate partner came with no monetary commitment to participate and ended up leaving the table with at least 2 separate research projects that they found compelling and decided to fund. This is one of the reasons why sponsored research at the university through Yissum has gone up significantly in 2018. And this is something that I think provides corporations a very unique opportunity to really explore and create customized, innovative solutions in a bias-free manner to some of the most significant needs that they can articulate in their businesses for the next few years. So this is a way in which not only do we engage industry, not only do we bring more exciting research and resources into the university, but in fact, we translate industry needs to applied, innovative, groundbreaking research at the university, which is the purpose of that bi-directional bridge. Last, I want to mention the last program, which we will be launching essentially in the next few days. This is a program called Partners in Innovation. Partners in Innovation is an opportunity for individuals to essentially partner with Yissum in the risk to develop exciting early stage research projects, and then win when these projects, if and when these projects are eventually commercialized and yield revenues. This is how the partnership works. Every 6 months, Yissum sits with its experts and selects 5 to 10 breakthrough projects that are in need of financial support before commercialization. These are projects that require normally about 12 months, 6 to 12 months of additional research before we're able to fully articulate the value proposition and go out to industry and start marketing these projects. These projects essentially get some marketing material written for them, and they go on an exclusive portal called Partners in Innovation, which requires a password detailing the project, detailing the work plan that we believe is required to essentially mature or advance the technology to the point of commercialization, the budget required for that work plan, and the contract details. The contract essentially states that by investing a certain amount in that research project, the investor will get a certain percent of any commercial returns that Yissum gets, assuming if the project is successfully commercialized. Now again, unfortunately, some of the graphics here did not come out on screen, but we will put this slide deck on our website as well. Not all projects get commercialized. In fact, as you know, not all research is successful at the end. But with Yissum's experience, we believe that some of these projects, especially if we select the right ones and if we draft the right work plans, we believe in our capability to commercialize some of them, and in fact reach commercialization and returns with a few of them. This provides for individuals and corporations with a way of winning from a certain upside, if it happens, by participating early on and sharing our risk at funding these projects. Of course, those who essentially contribute to the funding of these projects will receive periodic updates on the project process and progress, as well as our commercialization activities, successes, failures, when they happen, and of course can participate once the project is available commercially. Now, at this stage, we are opening this portal with its technologies only through the Hebrew University Friends Network. They're going to essentially hold the password to the portal and disseminate it to particular members through programs that they will create. This is not open to the public, so it provides a relative exclusive opportunity for a limited group of people to participate in the development of new projects. Now, I had 6 pictures here on the slide. I'm not sure why you're only seeing 2. Let me see if I exit full screen. Oh, you see, okay, that's not good. Okay, so I'm not sure why these things are not displaying appropriately, but essentially, the projects are I'll give you the 2 examples that are here. Diagnosis and rehabilitation of language disorders in children. This is an app. This is a digital health project. Digital printing of wood and wood composites for multiple uses. We have a project that I can tell you on cannabis research, early stage cannabis research as an antibiotic and anti-infective. We have a project there, another project that relates to food, another project that relates to materials. So there are, I think, 8 or 9 projects that were selected for the first cohort, the round 1 of Partners in Innovation. And I encourage you to really speak with your Hebrew Friends Network representative and find out more about how you can gain access to this and how you can leverage it in extending the Hebrew University Friends Network in Europe and around the world. So with that, I will stop. Thank you for bearing with me and listening, and I'll gladly take any questions that anyone has.
Okay, so please, this is the time for question and answers. You are welcome, and I unmute you. Okay. Julie, please, you can talk. Wait.
Can you just increase the volume?
Okay, can you hear me?
Talking through your machine, yeah.
Can you hear me?
No, this is.
Can you hear me?
Computer.
It's here.
Here. There you go.
Oh, okay. Julie?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, my husband is Eduardo. He's with me, and we have a question.
Hi, hello to everybody. Very interesting programs that you outlined here. I was particularly interested in understanding in the Partners Innovation Portal. How does the, who is the, let's say, quote unquote, philanthropic investor partnering with? Who else is participating in these projects, and what's the form of participation, and you know, who actually manages these projects?
Thank you for the question. So let me be very clear. This is not a philanthropic platform. Partners in Innovation is a pure financial platform. You will not be getting tax credits unless there's some arrangement in your particular region. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. You will not be getting any tax deduction or anything, because you are getting a very specific financial upside, a financial return potentially. So it's a high risk investment. Now, every project will have its required financing. You may contribute part of that amount or all of that amount. So for example, if the required financing is $100,000 and you want to participate in $25,000, you will indicate that amount. Depending on the project may already begin working with 25K or not. Essentially, your contact would be the specific business development officer at Yissum that is in charge of these projects. Each one of these projects is going to be fully characterized on the portal, and you're going to be able to download the contract for that investment. So we have finalized a contract which you can review with your lawyer, but essentially the contract will say you are providing X investment in this research. Research will be managed by Yissum, as we manage hundreds of projects. We have a project management team. You will be getting periodic updates, and you will also be getting periodic updates once the project is completed and the commercialization activity of the results begin. So the management of the project as it's still in the development phase, as well as the management of the commercialization activity, is done by Yissum, as it has been for 55 years and, you know, thousands of research collaborations.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Bernheim, Eric Bernheim, he asked how to participate in the newly approved fund.
The Rimon fund, the newly approved fund, meaning the Rimon fund, the impact fund?
I will let him to talk. Here, Eric, you can talk now. Okay, Eric? Eric, can you hear us? Eric? Okay, in the meanwhile, we have another question from Jay Kalish. They're asking for the portal program, is there a way to receive equity in the company established on the basis of the developed technology in lieu of receiving a part of Yissum's return?
So the answer is the contract specifies a certain percent, HUJI. The contract is specifying a certain percent of Yissum's return. These returns can be cash or equity. Unrelated to this, if you're an investor in that project, you are of course exposed to it. And if the commercialization route of that technology will be the creation of a spin-out company, you are welcome to get equity through direct investment in that company. But the platform, the Partners in Innovation platform, is geared towards early stage research projects. This is before we decide on the commercialization route, being a company venture creation or a license or something like that. So you will essentially be getting a fixed percent of what Yissum will be getting from the commercialization. If it's equity, you'll get equity. If it's cash, you'll get cash, etc.
Okay, so now Mr. Bernheim, he can't speak, so his question.
I mean the philanthropic fund,
yeah,
right? So this is the Ramon Fund. So the Ramon Fund was discussed at the campaign cabinet last week at the Board of Governors at Hebrew, and the information on the Ramon Fund is now being circulated to the Friends Network. To be very, maybe just briefly to explain, the university will be collecting donations, pure donations. So this is pure philanthropy, tax-deductible philanthropy, to essentially this vehicle which the university will establish called the Ramon Impact Fund. That fund will make small, up to 100K investments under CLAs or SAFE agreements with HUJI startups that are can generally be categorized as impact startups. And as you know today, there are a lot of different impact startups. As a donor to that philanthropic fund, you do not get any financial gain out of that fund. All the financial gains out of those funds funnel back into the fund. So this is an evergreen fund. However, as a donor, you will be getting quarterly updates on the portfolio of that fund, meaning what we've looked at, what we've decided to invest in, as well as updates on the portfolio development of investments that have already been done and companies that have undergone, that went into the portfolio. In addition, we plan on doing at least one annual event showcasing some or all of our portfolio companies around either the Board of Governors or through an international roadshow. And these would essentially allow the donors at the Ramon Fund to really participate, at least in spirit, with the innovation and entrepreneurship that goes along the creation of these new Hebrew University spinouts without actually getting any monetary compensation that would negate their tax-deductible donation status.
Okay, we have a few more minutes for another last question, if anybody is interested.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
so
if there's nothing else, I want to thank everyone again for logging in. Feel free to email us or contact your national contact people. And we look forward to hearing from you and continue to think about new creative ways of facilitating that bridge between academia and industry. Thank you very much.
thank you, everybody. Let's meet in the next webinar.